Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, a member of the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, good to have you here. Let's just start where Ken left off. Bongino, now the #2 at the FBI. This is someone who's been peddling conspiracy theories for years. In 2018, he said, quote, "My entire life right now is about owning the libs." Congressman, how are you looking at this pick and what it means for the nation's top law enforcement agency?
Well, the point is that Trump is politicizing everything. He's injecting his MAGA politics into every federal agency. And if you know people who work at the FBI, who are consummate professionals, people like friends of mine who I served with in the Marines, who now do this incredibly important law enforcement job for the nation to keep us safe, they're horrified by this kind of politicization. You know, they're professionals who show up to do their work every single day, not to play politics, but to ensure our national security. So that's the irony here, is that when Trump and Hegseth say they're depoliticizing things, no, they are making the most political appointments they possibly can. And that's dangerous for these agencies. It's dangerous for our national security and our basic just safety every day, which is something that we count on the FBI to protect.
And more broadly, you have federal workers who really do feel committed to public service. Now they have this ultimatum email sent to millions of federal employees, Elon Musk saying they have till midnight to respond or be fired. What's your reaction to that?
Well, obviously, it's illegal. I mean, there's been numerous legal opinions that have said you can't fire someone for not responding to an email from some government agency that just was sort of established for some billionaire to run. But the problem here, of course, is that, they're just doing whatever they want from the Oval Office, Trump and Elon, and there's no control. So what's going to happen in the immediate term is just chaos. And that's dangerous for our country. That's dangerous for our just day-to-day safety. I'm a national security guy, so I'm looking at what China and Russia are doing right now and possibly trying to take advantage of this moment when our guard is down because everything is in chaos in the federal government.
Speaking of that chaos, among those fired in recent days are several top leaders in the military, including the Joint Chiefs Chairman, General C.Q. Brown Jr., a four-star officer, former deputy head of U.S. Central Command, a former commander of U.S. Air Forces in the Middle East, someone who's not real political, typically. The Washington Post points out that Brown spoke infrequently about diversity and sought to emphasize merit and opportunity. They cite this 2021 Air Force recruiting video where he noted that a pilot's race and gender are invisible under his or her helmet. "You just know I'm an American airman kicking your butt," he said. Congressman, why do you think he was fired?
I think he was fired because he's such a principled person that he's going to uphold his oath to the Constitution before any personal loyalty to Trump. And Trump has clearly replaced him. This matters a lot, who he's replaced him with. He's replaced him with someone who donned a MAGA hat in a meeting and apparently said, Donald Trump, I'd kill for you. So this, again, is about politicizing a federal institution, politicizing the military. And the point that we should understand about C.Q. Brown is not what your reporter at the White House focused on, because this is playing right into the Republicans' hands, frankly. It's not the fact that he was the second black person to hold this job. It's the fact that he is one of the most intelligent, forward-thinking military officers of his generation. And I'll tell you, I wrote a letter to that effect to President Biden when he was considering him for an appointment. I'm very focused on how we need to modernize our military because the world is changing so quickly. We see this in Ukraine. We see the threats from China. We have to rapidly modernize. And C.Q. Brown has been at the forefront of that discussion and debate. That's why he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. That's why he should have that job. That's why he should still be in that job. But he's being fired because Trump is making a point about race and because he wants a personal loyalist in the position instead of an absolute consummate professional like C.Q. Brown.
This isn't the first time. The vice president has pointed out that other presidents have fired generals. President Truman fired General Douglas MacArthur. President Obama fired Stanley McChrystal.
Because he was insubordinate.
So you do see this different?
Made a mistake, right? There were very clear reasons that come back to basic civilian control of the military why those generals were fired, and we can't gloss over that. There's been no reason whatsoever. I wrote a bipartisan letter, very significant that it was bipartisan, to Secretary Hegseth last week, saying if you want to fire C.Q. Brown, just explain why. Just tell me why. And you've heard all these interviews this weekend. He can't give an answer. He can't give a substantive answer because the only answer that's true is because Trump wants a loyalist, and the Secretary of Defense knows that that's not how you choose a chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton, really appreciate your perspective. Thanks for joining us.